This is a tournament battle between Aggony, Duck, the Duke of Duck, and Noobez. Aggony Duck is commanding Westphalia in this tournament battle, and he's changed his army up a bit from what I've seen in his previous Mercia. He's commanding Mercia. In his previous Mercian build, I don't think he's brought 4 slingers for archers before, but he does in this battle. On the flanks, he has his Thanes, together with Thane Spearmen. Thane Spearmen being quite decent spearmen with a lot of armor. In the center, he has his cavalry, his horsemen, not very strong cavalry, but a decent enough cav unit. Then the royal companions in the center. So the flanks here are quite unusual in that the flanks have no cavalry here. The flanks do have slinger support, but the thing is, the Saxons, they have Saxon cavalry, scout cavalry, Saxon cavalry, but the Saxons are lacking in any good melee cavalry. The Saxon cavalry and skirmish cavalry is decent skirmish cavalry. They only have 2 ammunition. They do have a spear in combat, but they are very, very vulnerable. So a unit like the Saxon cavalry is going to take a beating from third slingers. So I think it's a smart move, putting the slingers here on the flanks. It will allow Duck to slow down the cavalry and to do a lot of damage to them and to sort of remain safe from them. Because one thing that the Saxons can bring is the Saxons can bring a lot of these axe warriors. They can bring a lot of these, let's see if there are any Sayax warriors. Yeah, Sayax warriors over here with a bonus against infantry. So the axe warriors and the Sayaxes together, they make for a very dangerous combination. And aside from the axes and the Sayaxes, we also have some spear warriors on the flanks. We also have archers on the flanks. No archers in the center. So the center of Duck is a quite mobile one able to skirmish. Taking the forest here probably wouldn't be a bad idea for Noobez, because he would be able to fight downhill and also have the forest cover. Duck also has some forest cover here, but not over here. These two contingents facing off against each other. I think the flanks of Noobez are, well, they won't be able to steamroll the flanks of Aggony Duck, but they do have the versatility to engage head on and then to swing around with the cavalry, whereas Duck does not have that versatility. It looks like the Saxon cavalry is going for the slingers of Duck here. And the slingers haven't been able to fire, so this is some good maneuvering by the Saxon cavalry. The slingers got 1 volley off, slowed down the Saxon cavalry, but it looks like the Saxon cavalry is going to be able to take out the slingers with no response. And here the slingers are going to be able to fire on the the scout cavalry, dropping them. They don't get their missile block chance. Over here we're getting some light skirmishing as well. The third slingers are firing uphill somewhat, so that's not ideal. The Saxon cavalry only took 1 casualty there, going into the slingers, so that was a good trade for the Saxon cavalry. I had fire at will turned off, since they have all of their ammunition, so this is good ammo management from Noobez. The third slingers are killing more rapidly than the archers, of course, but they're also depleting their ammunition more quickly. This slinger, I can't really see where. Yeah, it's firing on that, just how it was positioned at a weird angle there. So Duck is moving some horsemen up to support, and here come the horsemen, chasing away the archers there. They need to be really careful about this Saxon cavalry, because the Saxon cavalry has that 90 missile damage javelin, and they're getting into the archers here as well, into the select archers. So they were going for the cavalry, but then they turned around. Now they're taking some damage from the slingers. and they are dropping. But the select archers are also taking damage. Horsemen point blank fire from the flaming arrows, but they're taking a downhill charge from cavalry here. And the archers are not going to like that one bit. Dropping really quickly. The Thanes move into support, and that closes off the Sayax warriors. The Sayax warriors are not able to engage effectively now with the cavalry. The scout cavalry took a bit of damage there, but got the archers off the field. Over here, the archers are pushing up, and the horsemen are dropping rapidly to the Saxon cav. It looks like they have attack orders not on the scout cavalry, but on the archers here. So they sort of get stuck on the scout cavalry. But the horsemen get into the archers here, get into the Sayax warriors a bit. The support is forthcoming, but they are a bit far behind here. Will be able to join the cav fight though. Over here as well we have the horsemen doing well against Sayax warriors. The Thanes are not in shield wall, getting charged by 2 axe warriors, fighting 2 axe warriors. Not going to be an easy time for the Thanes here. The spear warriors get chased away by the Thanes. There are a lot of Westphalian units here, but they are mostly fighting uphill. Still, they do have a numerical advantage that is going to be hard to overcome. I mean, there's only this one engaged Thane here, and it's getting gangbanged by 3 units of axe warriors. So not a good time to be a Thane. Over here, the Thanes are doing slightly better against the Sayax warriors, breaking through, destroying the scout cavalry, and Thane spearmen getting into the back of the spear warriors. The spear warriors have very little armor.
The men are running. Stand and fight, damn you!
But the Thane spears have a very low charge bonus for being a spear unit. Only a 19 charge versus the 30 charge bonus of the spear warriors. A more defensive unit with their armor. And here the Saxon cavalry taking fire from the select archers. Over on the flanks though, it's not going well for Mercia. The Saxon cavalry is getting defeated by the horsemen, but still holding off a vast number of units with just a very tanky unit of Thanes here. Actually 2 units of Thanes. It might turn out to be a good trade, because it will allow Mercia to win on the flanks. And winning on the flanks, now the Saxons really only have, they don't have much in the way of skirmish left. They have one very depleted archer unit here in the forest, whereas these select archers have conserved their ammunition to a significant degree. And one of the things about the Westphalians is that they don't have a lot of armor aside from this Hearthguard. Aside from the Hearthguard, we're looking at 10 armor for basically all of these units. So archers, heavy shot, going to do a lot of damage to the Westphalian units. Westphalia they have some dangerous units, but they also have very fragile units. Looks like the archers are about to get charged by the feared slingers here. Should be enough to finish them off. Although that fight is going to take quite some time.
Given up and are running for their lives.
And now finally the Thanes running away, but 161 kills, not too shabby for the Thanes there. Not cost effective. I doubt it was cost effective because they were mostly fighting cheap units, but cost effectiveness in terms of kills is not always the priority, because they were able to hold off a massive amount of units here, and even fighting them downhill. So that wasn't the worst they could have done. And it might have allowed the rest of the army some breathing room, because here we have the Thanes as well charging in. They managed to come back, and it has enabled Mercia to pick apart the right flank of Westphalia. And considering what's left here now, Westphalia has much stronger infantry left. Infantry able to do a lot of damage on the charge. In shield wall, however, these Thanes are going to be hard to break through, and the royal companions doubly so. Same thing with the select archers. There is really no response for the select archers now, because 3 select archers using flaming shot, they're going to tear up the scout cavalry very quickly. So I'll just fast forward while the armies move into position, because there are a lot of there were a lot of exhausted units over here. Yeah, they're still exhausted, winded, exhausted. So they have been doing a lot of fighting and a lot of running. So now they're just going to line up, move into position, and the archers start firing on into the unshielded side of the Hearthguard, which is a good target. If they are able to take out the Hearthguard, the rest of the army doesn't have the best morale. When the general dies. But still, picking apart these units is a good choice as well, because they have so little armor, and when they don't get their missile block, they are basically free kills for an archer unit. When the general is alone, he's obviously not going to be able to do very well. But these units are in the forest, and that helps them somewhat. The horsemen now screening the scout cab, so the scout cab doesn't get into the select archers. But let's see how many volleys of flaming shot it takes to kill the scout cab. Even though they're in the forest, they are dropping. Yeah, that's what I thought would happen. The scout cab just gets annihilated. Looks like they are going to be... No, they almost made it in, but not quite. They are shattered. So at this point there's really not much that Westphalia can do. They are surrounded by skirmishers. The Mercians command a beneficial position on this hill. They can go into shield wall. But the thing is, if they go into shield wall, then they can be held in place, because Westphalia has more units left. So charging in horsemen here to stop the units, buy them some time. Pulling the horsemen out, they're going to lose quite a few men here. But 255 kills on unit of horsemen, that's pretty good. Now here the axe warriors just about make it in. Looks like the Thane spearmen, yeah, they're moving into spear wall. And the royal companions not in shield wall. The Thanes here are in shield wall. The Thanes in shield wall should do well, and the royal companions also moving into shield wall now. And so are the Hearthguard are also in shield wall. But the royal companions haven't taken any damage. The Hearthguard is taking damage from the flank, so the Hearthguard is going to struggle here, but it's a very nice end to the battle. The supporting units being picked apart here in the back. Axe warriors in even combat here with the Thane spears, and a Pyrrhic victory there for Mercia. I guess Noobez conceded defeat there. So let's have a look at the kills. Nice kills on one of these horsemen, very nice. I like the Mercian army that Aggony Duck brought. I also like the Westphalian army. I think this came down to deployment in no small part, because putting the cavalry on the flanks, as would be the most common thing, the Saxon cavalry and the scout cavalry would be able to pick apart the horsemen. However, since there were no cavalry units on the flanks, and since the flanks were held by slingers and these Thanes, it turned out really well, because it enabled the archers to remain alive for the end of the battle, whereas these archers bit the dust. And you can see that the axes overall, the axes do fairly well. The Say axes didn't do that well. The Thanes overall do a good job, and they did a really good job in holding off a large portion of the Westphalian army. This is a best of 3. This is the first battle, so we're going to have more battles from these two good players. Strength and honor.